Hello everyone, hello Miss Santia, my name is Miras Argambai. Today I will present my work for assignment 2, which is two songs analysis and rubric. I chose songs called Glory and Riot, which have a message about racial segregation. Introduction. Glory by John Legend and rapper Common. Genre of this song is soul and hip hop. Became the same song for the film Selma, released on 11th December 2014. Riot by the late American rapper XXXTentacion. Genre of this song is hip hop. Originally released on SoundCloud in May 2015 and then republished on 1st of June 2020 amid anti-racist protests following the death of George Floyd. Two songs' main purpose is inequality, social issue, racial segregation. Racial segregation is a systematic separation of people into racial or other ethnic groups in daily life. About history of racial segregation. Officially, racial segregation has existed since the 13th Amendment to the American Constitution, which outlawed slavery in 1965. Its first things are separate schools, separate public transport, bans on co-location in hotels and motels, division into cafes and restaurants only for whites and for colored and black in the field of services, African American military units and the like. It's an example picture. There we can see colored waiting room. Both of these songs have very prominent visuals, but Riot has more direct lyrics, whereas Glory lyrics is slightly more complicated. Uh, about visuals of Glory. In the first frames we can see a black man speaking in front of a crowd is Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King Jr. was an African American Baptist minister and activist who became the most visible spokesperson and leader in the civil rights movement from 1955 until his assassination in 1968. King advanced civil rights through nonviolence and civil disobedience, inspired by his Christian beliefs and the nonviolence activism of Mahatma Gandhi. He was the son of early civil rights activist Martin Luther King. King participated in and led marches for blacks' right to vote, desegregation, labor rights, and other basic civil rights. In these pictures, we see a crowd of black citizens kneeling in front of white police officers without help. And there we can see Martin Luther King is detained and jailed for fighting against unfair laws and inequality. This is the Edmund Pettus Bridge. The Edmund Pettus Bridge, now a National Historic Landmark, was the site of the brutal, bloody Sunday beatings of civil rights marchers during the first march for voting rights. The televised attacks were seen all over the nation, promoting public support for the civil rights activists in Selma and for the voting rights campaign. After Bloody Sunday, protesters were granted the right to continue marching, and two more marches for voting rights following. There is people who did not have the patience listen to the Martin Luther King went to a tough protest with posters in one of these we can notice the inscription "Every human has rights." Now about riot visuals. The picture is open up young dark-skinned guys who wait in chains. It says that young generation die without any reason. Second picture and third picture, there is written Emmett Till, Mississippi, 1955. It's about young boy who was killed August 28, 1955. Emmett Till, young African American from Chicago, murdered. The 14-year-old was kidnapped, beaten, shot, and dumped into the Tallahatchie River for whistling at a white woman. In this picture we can see Philando Castile, Minnesota, 2016. It's a history about African American man. On July 6, 2016, Philando Castile, a 32-year-old African American man, was fatally shot during a traffic stop by police officers Geronimo Yance of the St. Paul Anthony Police Department. Castile was driving with his partner Diamond Reynolds and her 4-year-old daughter when at 9 p.m. he was pulled over by Yance and another officer in Falcon Heights, a suburb of St. Paul, Minnesota. After being asked for his license and registration, Castile told Officer Yance that he had a firearm, but Castile was licensed to carry, to which Yance replied, "Don't it reach for," and Castile said, "I was reaching for." Yance said, "Don't pull it out." Castile replied, "I'm not pulling it out," and Reynolds said, "He's not." Yance repeated, "Don't pull it out," and Yance then fired 7 close-range shots of Castile, hitting him 5 times. Castile died of his wounds at 9:37 p.m. at Huntington County Medical Center, about 20 minutes after being shot. This is the picture of this incident. Rodney King, Los Angeles, 1991. It's a history about Rodney Glenn King, who was an American actor and activist who was a victim of police brutality by the Los Angeles who was a victim of police brutality by the Los Angeles Police Department on March 3, 2091. Heather Heyer, Charlottesville, 2017. The Charlottesville car attack was a terror attack prepared on August 12, 2017, when James Alex Fields deliberately drove his car into a crowd of people who had been peacefully protesting the the right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, killing 1 and injuring 19. Ferguson riots, Missouri, 2014. The Ferguson unrest, sometimes called the Ferguson Uprising, Ferguson protests, or Ferguson riots, in Ferguson, Missouri, involved protests and riots beginning on August 10, 2014, the day after the fatal shooting of Michael Brown by police officer Darren Wilson. The unrest sparked a vigorous debate in the United States about the relationship between law enforcement officers and African Americans. The militarization of police and the use of force law in Missouri and nationwide continued activism expanded the issues to include modern-day debtors' prisons, for-profit policing, and school segregation. This is the footage of those riots in Ferguson. The clip consists mainly of historical incidents. Now about Glory lyrics. Formed against US glory is the sign that everyday women and men become legends. Sins that go against our skin become blessings. The movement is a return to us. Freedom is like religion to us. Justice is juxtaposition us. Justice for all just ain't specific enough. These lines mean there will be no more fighting and peace will return. There is a legend. A legend is defined as someone who is considered heroic or notably great. These lines means those who try to stop us will never succeed. Movement. The movement here means the sum of humans working for a more peaceful and just world. Freedom is like religion to us. This hints that freedom is top priority. This line means justice is defying us and explains that we are not being fairly treated as a human race. Here, John Legend is calling out and citizen politics and governments for caption the language of freedom for their own ends. One son died, his spirit is revisiting us. Truant living in us. Resistance is us. That's why Rosa sat on the bus. That's why we walk through Ferguson with our hands up. When it go down, we women and men up. They say stay down and we stand up. Shots we on the ground. The camera panned up. King pointed to the mountain top and we ran up. This line is in allusion to Jesus' crucifixion. This line means that we are discriminated against as humans and should rebel as such. Rosa refers to Rosa Parks, who broke the racial protocol and cultural norm of sitting in the front of a bus as an African American. Ferguson refers to a city in America where unrest broke out in 2014 following the fatal shooting of a black man by police. These lines mean that even when we are being oppressed, we should always aim for the best. These lines describe how black people have struggled for their rights since the days that Martin Luther King asked them to pursue justice. Selma is now for every man, woman, and child. Even Jesus got his crown in front of a crowd. Selma is defined as a movie about voting rights marches that the American black community held in 1965 to be allowed the freedom to vote. They marched with a torch, we can run with it now, never look back, we done gone hundreds of miles. Common, one of the people who is featured in this song, encourages people to continue fighting for their rights. From dark roads, he rose to become a hero facing the League of Justice. His power was a pupil. This line means that someone can still rise from the worst situation to the best. Enemy is little, a king became regal. This line calls on people to love one another and live a positive life despite the obstacles and injustice. Saw the face of Jim Crow under a bald eagle. Jim Crow refers to the order of law that oppressed blacks of the 19th century. The biggest weapon is to stay peaceful. Common calls for nonviolent resistance. We sing our music is the cuts that we bleed through. These lines mean that we should maintain peace and express our challenges peacefully. Somewhere in the dream we had an epiphany. This line means we should still hope. Now we right the wrongs in history. The line hints that we overcome the past by actively doing something about it. No one can win the war individually. This means that people only succeed when they are united. It takes the wisdom of the elders and young people's energy. Welcome to the story we call victory. Coming of the Lord, my eyes have seen the glory. Kamen invites people of all generations to participate in a peaceful resistance movement against racists. Now about riot lyrics. I will not read all of these lyrics because the lyrics have bad words. I will just explain. On the riot, XXXTentacion is giving his thoughts on the killings of African Americans across the United States and the riots that ensue. X condemns officers who abuse their authority and power, but he also condemns those who riot as a form of protest. He tells them that they should consider the people behind the businesses that they loot and destroy. He wants them to think about and realize how their spontaneous actions can have lasting repercussions for the victims and their families. He understands and agrees with their pain, but he wants them to channel it in a different, more peaceful way. In conclusion, I wanted to say that both songs important ways of addressing the main theme, racial segregation, because these days young people listen to music more than watch the news, read books, or follow politics. And as we know, the whole future of the country is in the hands of the youth. Thank you for your time. Goodbye.